Real quick, how an exploring camera should be. So I bought this cheap $25 camera with a memory card, but the 32 gigabytes it loops videos for like 15 minutes, so that's the maximum. And then for 32 gigabytes, it's roughly around 2 hours worth of 15, so it's around between 8 to 10 different videos. And that's if it's plugged in. So 8 to 10 videos or 2 to 3 hours tops. And the memory card, I gotta keep swapping it. I actually like try to swap it and it ejected somewhere. 32 gigabytes only. I try to put in a 64 gigabyte card, and it basically tried it basically it I had to basically format it, and then the video wouldn't even store or something like that. It's just uh so bro. I mean, a small pocket camera that could hold like 64 to 128 gigabytes, which was this. I used the memory card. I put a piece of tape over the slot for the memory card, and then it's got a night flash. So this pocket camera, it doesn't zoom in or out or anything like that. So just comparing these exploring cameras, I've got, just depends on the size of the memory card, and then basically uh probably 64 gigabytes could probably, you know is 4 to 6, at least double 32 gigabytes. And if it could, loop and so, and then basically so and then even the battery life on this seems to be more stable than 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes with this. So you get a maximum of around 2 3 hours of being able to record, but the battery only lasts for a certain amount. So I knew that, after a week of getting it and testing, or a week of testing, and started to just try to see how it works with power, and maxed out the cards. So this might make it last the 2 to 3 hours for the whole video. So I would really recommend picking up a spare power bank for any spare or any camera that you want to really rely on, that you can afford and rely on, and has more than 32 gigabytes. Just because, I mean, having more videos and just just kind of like filling out the um I was gonna also, like, with the case and stuff, like do a few things with like a mini microscope. I'm not sure how I'm gonna. So far, I could use it as a helmet cam and a bicycle cam, and basically have it in a shock case, which I can't use the power bank for. So these tablets seem to be pretty strong. But the only issue is the USB ports. These are Fire 7s, now they have Fire 10s. These seem to work with micro SD. So if you've been through a lot of the gadgets in in time and stuff, there's DVDs, laptops, and CDs. Everybody was on those, and before that there were records and cassettes, 8 tracks, etc. And now everything is going to digital, uh, so that it's just like some more, like, things to basically my old systems to have as an old system. The hardware and everything started to really just. So this one, yeah, I bought a power adapter, this all-in-one workstation, and the open it up, clean it up, and the it basically wouldn't boot up. Same thing with other. So I have two laptops and that I worked on, and then all this time I'm like frustrated and not really like going any further and stuff, and which is pretty good. So I'm just sitting here just testing, from the pretty much uh, you know, actually like you know this just shut down. So it starts to get a little complicated with even the settings. You got to turn off any sleep modes and any you got to keep these things charged up. And if they have bugs and stuff with the charging and things like that, but they're digital items and use. So I've got auto power off, but it just kind of powered off on its own. So, these devices can start getting different bugs within the circuits, so can't really just move YouTube. So after a couple of days, unplugged the laptop and then powered it on. The numlock key light was on, and then uh, so just basically unplugged it and let it cycle, and then after 2 days, plugged it back in, pressed the power once, it tried to cycle, then the screen would turn off, and then the num lock would turn on, press the num lock off, and then back on, press power off, and then now it's, hold it down for, 5-10 seconds, just practicing just simple boot ups just with the power, and then it actually went back into the system, and just kind of testing how things are scrolling around, let everything cycle up. I want to try to find like a backup recovery um, situation, but for now I could just power it off, I think. And then, but the DVD ROM should pretty much work. It actually works for really old DVDs sometimes. Not gonna try to do too much with the HDMI without any real updates. Or not HDMI, the micro SD. Um, without researching a little bit more. Uh, Generic boot disk that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So far, I used it once, and then I've got to double check how like things actually, you know, are so far things are just going as expected. I'm For the price I paid, which and the device itself, some of it works, some of it doesn't. It's no big deal. And also, if I want to like go further and get more important, larger screens or a new computers, modern media storage computer, Windows 11 or Google or Android system, external hard drives, terabytes wise. That's like the uh, where a lot of people are kind of like, really good success with the old systems just because they have internet access at home and stuff. They basically have um, downloads and the internet to actually, you know, um, successfully, upgrade their systems and install programs to keep them running. And that's the way to go, I think, to really, get these. Um, but it gets a little, certain memberships and, you know, things like that. So, been good and bad, um, but when, something goes wrong, it's just like, I barely did anything, and when something goes right, it's like, oh, they did all the work, and it's just, I'm gonna get this computer to start working. It's stuck on everything. It's basically like, they have car scanners for cars basically, that are pretty decent, if you've kind of like understood a lot of the codes and, a lot of the car repairs and stuff. But for these computers, everything is just guessed for now. Besides, uh, or besides like kind of learning or buying a new system and cloning tasks from between one system to the next system and getting things. But besides that, that's not really possible if you don't have the internet or, updates or software disks just in case. I would like to really get into that type of stuff. But sometimes, so in reality, and you just get tired. You just like, when it was getting locked like that, I would actually use a Novo key to actually reset it. So, control alternate. So I just unplugged it. So it's gonna have to cycle for a couple other days. So this is a good time to kind of rant about, giving up on these older systems unless I get something that technically works. Isn't stuff on Amazon and stuff. I mean, it's still kind of a expensive, but um, you're just having fun and typing in, just the make and model and seeing what comes up. One of my cell phones is like $80. The other cell phone is a Moto G, 2023, is like $100. Those are pretty good with the memory card situation, but and system, and that might take like a mini PC, um, with external hard drive. The hard drives are roughly around $120 for like a 12 terabyte, um, which isn't bad. So if I could kind of get, you got to really know you or think fast about what's first, and the main system, the computer and things and software and hardware. I don't even have the internet, so and though just having the main computer or laptop, you need the internet to, uh, basically activate Windows somehow, or with Android you could, and maybe Google, you could get away, but a lot of hardware and things were, um, especially made for like Windows, and everybody, basically, or Windows had a lot of, aftermarket things, so that, and Windows relies on the internet a lot. So, um, and do a normal startup, and that worked. So it says system recovery.